The alien space station of Zereth Prime was never quiet. Ships from hundreds of worlds floated around its massive steel body like insects around a light. Cargo haulers, warships, merchant freighters, they all came here to trade, to gossip, to spy, or to simply show off their technology. Inside, the air was a mix of strange smells, spiced vapors from the Doran merchants, the salty mist of the ocean-borne rock, and the heavy metallic tang of machinery that never slept. Every corridor was alive with voices, some soft and musical, others harsh and insect-like. Holographic signs flashed in dozens of languages. A visitor could buy almost anything here, if they had enough credits or the courage to deal with dangerous people. In the middle of the station's main trade hall stood a long table made of black stone. It was a meeting place for deals too risky to be done in private. Many came here to boast about rare weapons, stolen artifacts, or strange food from the edges of the galaxy. But today, something else was on display. At the center of the table sat a bottle. It was tall and thin, made of glass that shimmered like frozen light. Inside it was a glowing silver liquid that seemed to move on its own, swirling as if it were alive. Tiny sparks ran through it like miniature lightning storms. The bottle pulsed faintly, as though it had a heartbeat. Around the table, a crowd had gathered, aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some were covered in fur, others in scales, others in armor-like skin. They all kept their distance from the bottle. A whisper ran through the crowd. That's starfire nectar, the deadliest drink in the universe. No one survives more than a drop. It was not an exaggeration. Stories said a single sip could burn through a creature's throat, boil their blood, and leave only ashes. It was used in assassinations, in cruel games of chance, and in one infamous war as a weapon to wipe out enemy leaders. For most species, even touching the bottle without gloves was dangerous. But the aliens who had brought it today were smiling. They were called the Hereth, a tall, thin race with 4 black eyes and skin like cracked stone. They enjoyed dangerous games, especially ones that humiliated other species. Today, their target was a human. Her name was Captain Mara Vance. She stood on the other side of the table, hands in the pockets of her worn flight jacket. She was not the tallest person here, nor the strongest. Her hair was short and messy, her boots scuffed from years of travel. But her green eyes were sharp, scanning the bottle, the crowd, and the smug faces of the Hereth. One of the Hereth leaned forward. His voice was low and rough. "Human, you claim your species is strong, that you can endure more than others. Prove it." He tapped the glowing bottle. Mara glanced at it, then back at him. "What is it?" she asked, her tone casual. A ripple of laughter went through the crowd. Someone hissed in shock. A fur-covered alien muttered, "She doesn't even know." The Hereth's grin widened. "We call it starfire nectar. No one survives it." Mara tilted her head. "What does it taste like?" The Hereth seemed amused. "Pain, agony, death." She nodded slowly, then reached for the bottle. Gasps erupted around the hall. A scaled alien actually stepped back, as if afraid the drink might explode. Mara pulled the stopper free. The liquid shimmered brighter, filling the air with a strange, sweet smell. It was sharp, almost citrus-like, but there was something else beneath it, a burning, metallic edge. She sniffed it and smirked. "Smells like juice back home." That made the crowd blink. Without hesitation, she lifted the bottle to her lips and took a big gulp. The crowd roared in shock. Some turned away, expecting her to drop dead instantly. Others leaned forward to watch her collapse. The Hereth's grin widened into anticipation, but Mara just swallowed, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, and said, "Not bad. Kinda tangy." Silence. The crowd stared. The Hereth froze, his grin gone. A voice from the back muttered, "That's impossible." Mara set the bottle down gently. "You got anything stronger?" she asked. The silence broke into chaos. Aliens began shouting over one another. "She's lying, she must be immune. No one's immune. Is she a machine? Maybe she's already dead." The Hirith leader slammed a fist on the table. "What are you?" he demanded. Mara shrugged. "Just human." From the crowd, a small insect-like alien named Keth pushed forward. Keth had been traveling with Mara for 2 weeks, helping her find cargo runs that paid well. His black antennae twitched nervously. He whispered urgently, "Mara, do you have any idea what you just drank?" "Yeah," she said. "Juice." "No." Keth hissed. "That was a weapon. They used it in the Seraph Wars to melt enemy warlords alive. It kills in seconds. Even diluted, it's lethal to 99% of known life." Mara shrugged again. "Guess I'm the 1%. But as the crowd's whispers grew, Keth noticed something dangerous as several aliens weren't just staring in shock. They were studying Mara the way a hunter studies prey. Some were already speaking into comms, calling someone. Keth's antennae twitched again. "We need to leave now." Mara glanced at the crowd. She saw the way some aliens' eyes glimmered, not with curiosity, but with greed. Others looked fearful, as if they'd just witnessed the birth of a new threat. She smiled faintly. "All right, but I'm taking the bottle." Before anyone could stop her, she picked it up and slipped it into her jacket pocket. The Hirith leader snarled. "You cannot just—" "Watch me," Mara said, turning away. They left the trade hall, pushing through the crowds. But Keth kept looking over his shoulder. "You don't understand, Mara. They'll come after you. Some will want to test you. Others will want to cut you open to see why you lived." Mara gave him a sideways glance. "Not the first time someone's wanted to kill me." "I'm serious," Keth said. "There are factions who would pay entire fleets worth of credits for someone who can survive that drink. You're worth more than a planet right now." Mara stopped walking. "That's flattering, but not exactly comforting." From somewhere behind them, a loud metallic clang echoed footsteps, heavy and fast, moving in their direction. Keth's antennae shot upright. "Run!" They bolted through the maze of stalls and narrow corridors. Traders shouted as they rushed past, knocking over crates and spilling glowing fruits and steaming noodles. The station's air was thick with the smell of spices and engine fumes. Mara kept one hand on her jacket pocket, feeling the cold glass of the bottle against her fingers. Why did she survive? She wasn't sure, but she remembered growing up on a desert colony on the far edge of human space. Water there was scarce, and food came from whatever could survive the heat. Drinks were made from strange plants, some sweet, some bitter, some so sour they made your eyes water. And sometimes the water was less than clean. Her mother used to say, "A strong stomach will save your life one day." Maybe today was that day. They ducked into a narrow maintenance tunnel, the air hot and smelling of oil. The sound of pursuing footsteps faded for a moment. Keth leaned against the wall, panting. "We can hide here until," a voice spoke from the shadows ahead. "Until they find you?" Mara and Keth froze. From the darkness stepped a tall alien in a long black coat. His eyes glowed faintly blue, and his skin was pale and smooth like polished stone. "I saw what you did," he said softly. "And I have something stronger." In his hand was a small vial. It glowed even brighter than the starfire nectar, its light almost too bright to look at. The liquid inside moved slowly, as if it were heavy. "This," he said, "is called Sun's blood. It has killed kings. Entire armies have fallen because of a drop, but maybe you can drink it." Mara raised an eyebrow. "And if I can?" The alien smiled faintly. "Then you are not just a survivor. You are something more." The glow from the vial lit the narrow tunnel like a tiny sun. It was almost too bright to look at, yet Mara couldn't take her eyes off it. The liquid inside didn't move like water. It shifted slowly, thick and heavy, as if each drop carried the weight of a planet. The alien in the black coat held it between two careful fingers. His eyes never left Mara's. "Drink this," he said, his voice calm, "and I will tell you who is already coming for you." Kef stepped forward, his antennae twitching in panic. "Mara, no, that's sun's blood. It's worse than starfire nectar. It's used for executions. It doesn't just burn, it destroys from the inside." Mara kept her gaze on the vial. "And you're just handing this to me. Why?" The alien's faint smile didn't change. "Because I collect rare things. And if you can drink this, you are the rarest thing in the galaxy." Kef moved between them, his small body trembling. "You don't know this man. Mara, people who collect rare things, they mean own rare things." The alien tilted his head slightly. "You can refuse. But understand this, the ones hunting you will not offer you a choice. They will take you alive if they can, dead if they must. And they are already on the move." The Afra Mara looked down at the glowing vial again. Her instincts told her this was dangerous, not just the liquid, but the man himself. Yet part of her was curious. In her life, she'd learned that fear often made people hesitate, and hesitation could be deadly. She stepped closer. "What happens if I drink it?" The alien's smile grew almost imperceptibly. "If you survive, you will prove you are something no other species has managed to create, a body that can resist the most lethal substance ever brewed. If you die, then you will be forgotten in the dark, like all the others who tried." Kef made a desperate sound. "Mara, please, don't do this." But Mara's hand was already reaching out. The glass was warm in her palm, almost pulsing with heat. The test, she uncorked the vial. A sharp metallic smell filled the tunnel, making Kef gag and step back. The liquid shimmered like molten gold. Mara didn't hesitate. She tipped it back and drank. It hit her throat like fire. Her vision went white for a moment, and her chest tightened as if she'd swallowed the core of a star. She coughed, heat radiating through her ribs, her stomach twisting violently. Her knees buckled, but she forced herself to stand. The alien watched her intently, no emotion on his face. Mara's breathing came in harsh bursts. Sweat poured down her forehead. For a moment, she thought maybe this was it, that she'd finally found something she couldn't handle. Then, the pain began to fade. Slowly, her heartbeat steadied. The burning became a warm throb. She wiped her mouth, straightened her back, and looked the alien in the eye. Stronger than the first one, but still juice. Kef stared at her like she'd just bent the laws of physics. "The collectors." "Truth," the alien chuckled quietly. "Remarkable. My name is Viren, and I believe your species' biology is chaotic enough to resist many toxins. Where other creatures evolved for stability, humans evolved to survive uncertainty. Bad water, strange plants, disease, you are built to adapt, even to things meant to kill you." Mara raised an eyebrow. "So you're saying we're basically garbage processors?" Viren smiled faintly. "In a galaxy where stability is the key to life, chaos can be the ultimate shield." Kef frowned deeply. "If you're right, and this gets out, humans won't be seen as interesting. They'll be seen as resources, weapons, test subjects." Viren nodded. "Exactly. Which is why you need to disappear before the wrong people find you." The wrong people, but it was already too late. From the far end of the tunnel came the sound of boots, many boots clanging against the steel floor. Shadows stretched along the wall, long and sharp. Kef's antennae stood straight. "Station." "Security?" Viren's expression didn't change. "No, mercenaries. Paid to capture you alive." The boots grew louder. Voices barked orders in a guttural alien language. Weapons hummed as they powered up. Mara slipped the empty vial into her jacket pocket, beside the bottle of starfire nectar. "Guess we're leaving." Viren stepped aside, gesturing down a smaller maintenance shaft. "This way, quickly." The shaft was narrow, the walls lined with pipes that hissed with steam. The heat pressed in from all sides. They crawled at first, then broke into a run as it widened. Behind them, the mercenaries entered the tunnel, their footsteps echoing. Like war drums, one blast from a plasma weapon tore past Mara's shoulder, melting part of a pipe. Scalding steam burst into the air, filling the shaft with a burning cloud. Mara ducked under it and kept running. Kef shouted over the noise. "Where are we going?" Varen didn't look back. "Somewhere safe, for now." Viren's hideout. They emerged into a hidden chamber deep in the station's structure. It was dimly lit, the walls covered with shelves of strange bottles, each glowing in different colors: red, blue, green, purple. Some pulsed like hearts, others fizzed with tiny sparks. In the center was a table covered in old datapads and metal tools. Kef froze, his voice sharp. "You've been collecting poisons." Varen nodded. "Every toxin, venom, and deadly brew known to the galaxy. And now, a human who can drink them." Mara's eyes roamed over the collection. Some of the liquids seemed to move like living creatures. Others gave off faint whispers, like voices trapped in glass. "Why?" she asked. Varen's gaze lingered on her. "Because knowledge is power, and survival is the purest form of power." A dangerous proposition. Varen reached for a small black case and opened it. Inside were 3 more vials, each darker and more dangerous than the last. "If you truly want to survive what's coming, you will need to know your limits. Drink these one by one, over time. If you can survive them all, there will be nothing in the galaxy that can kill you." Mara studied the vials. She wasn't sure if he was helping her or testing her for his own goals. "And if I refuse?" Varen smiled thinly. "Then the galaxy will find you unprepared, and you will die." Before she could answer, an explosion rocked the hideout. The door to the chamber twisted inward. Metal shrieking. The breach mercenaries poured in, tall, armored, with weapons aimed directly at Mara. Their leader, a reptilian alien with jagged teeth, stepped forward. "Human, come quietly, and you may live long enough to fetch a high price." Mara sighed. "You people really don't know how to ask nicely." She reached into her pocket, pulled out the bottle of starfire nectar, and uncorked it. The silver liquid shimmered in the dim light. The reptilian laughed. "That won't work on us." Mara grinned. "It's not for you." She splashed it onto the floor in front of them. The liquid hissed, eating through the metal. The floor collapsed, taking 2 mercenaries with it into the maintenance levels below. In the chaos, she grabbed Kef's arm and ran for the back exit Viren had indicated earlier. Escape. For now they burst out into the crowded marketplace. The noise, the smells, the flashing lights, it was like stepping from one world into another. But Mara knew they weren't safe. "Not yet," Kef panted, looking up at her. "You're insane, you." "Know that?" She smirked. "Maybe, but I'm still alive." Behind them, Varen's voice came faintly through the crowd. "You can run, Captain Vance, but you will need me soon." Mara didn't look back. She didn't want to admit he might be right. The crowd in the marketplace swallowed Mara and Kef like an ocean swallowing 2 stones. Bright stalls lined the narrow paths, each glowing with neon signs and flickering holograms. The air was thick with the smell of roasted alien meats, engine oil, and the faint electric scent of high-voltage shields. Mara didn't slow down. Every step she expected to hear the heavy thud of mercenary boots behind them. Kef stumbled, nearly tripping over a small 6-legged vendor cart that scuttled past. "Mara, please just stop for a second." She ignored him and turned down a narrow alley between 2 scrap shops. Only when she was sure they were out of sight did she press her back against a rusted wall. Kef collapsed against a crate, panting hard. "We lost them?" Mara's eyes scanned the crowd beyond the alley. "For now. But they'll be spreading our description across the station already." The broadcaster prediction came true in seconds. A loud voice boomed from overhead speakers in 3 different alien languages. One was human standard, attention, all citizens. A dangerous fugitive human female, accompanied by a Zenari male, has escaped from armed custody. Information leading to their capture will be rewarded. Do not approach, they are considered dangerous. Kef's antennae drooped. We're famous now. I hate it. Mara kept her tone light, but her mind was calculating. Means they're desperate. That's good. Desperate people make mistakes. But deep down, she knew it also meant everyone would be looking for them, bounty hunters, opportunists, and even curious civilians. The galaxy reacts while Mara tried to think of an exit plan. The news of the human who drinks death spread faster than any ship could travel. On a pirate station orbiting the gas giant Vezra, a hulking insectoid bounty hunter replayed the footage of her drinking the sun's blood. He tilted his head, mandibles clicking in curiosity. Interesting prey. On a luxury cruiser drifting between moons, a pale-skinned noblewoman leaned back in her chair, swirling a glass of something blue and fizzing. A human immune to poisons? Imagine the uses. On a remote mining colony, a ragged crew watched the bounty notice flash on their old holoscreen. Their captain grinned. Find her, and we can buy this station for ourselves. The hunt had begun, and Mara didn't even know the scale of it yet. An old contact, back in the station's underbelly. Keth finally caught his breath. We can't keep running like this. We need help. Mara frowned. Help costs money. Money we don't have. Keth hesitated. Not always. There's someone I know. He owes me. She raised an eyebrow. Someone you know on this station, and you're just telling me now. Keth shifted uncomfortably. Because he's not exactly trustworthy, Mara smirked. Perfect. Lead the way. They wound through the station's labyrinth of service corridors until they reached a heavy dented door with faint scorch marks. Keth knocked in a strange rhythm, 3 quick, 2 slow, 1 long. The door slid open to reveal a tall, thin alien with skin like cracked stone and eyes that glowed faintly orange. Keth, the alien said in a voice like grinding metal. You owe me money. Keth gave a nervous laugh. Yeah, about that I brought you something better. The alien's eyes shifted to Mara. A human? Mara crossed her arms. The human. The bargain inside, the alien's quarters smelled faintly of engine oil and burnt spice. Piles of scavenged tech filled the room. Broken drones, stripped weapons, old ship parts. His name was Drosk, and he was a broker, someone who could get you anything for a price. You're in trouble, Drosk said after hearing Kef's rushed explanation. And trouble like yours is worth a lot to the wrong people. Mara met his glowing eyes. I need a ship. One that can't be traced. Drosk tilted his head. That's not cheap. Then we work something out. You get me off this station, and I owe you a favor. Drosk's cracked stone lips curled into a slow smile. I like favors, especially from people worth entire fleets and bounty money. The double-crossed Drosk led them to a docking bay deep in the station's shadowed lower levels. The ship waiting there was small but sleek, its hull painted in dull gray to blend with space. She's fast, Drosk said. Not much in weapons, but speed will keep you alive longer than guns. Mara walked up the ramp, inspecting the interior. It was simple pilot seat, co-pilot seat, small cargo space. Exactly what they needed, but as she stepped toward the cockpit, she heard the faint click of a weapon behind her. You're worth too much to let go, Drosk said quietly. Sorry, business is business. The ambushed 3 armed mercenaries stepped from behind the ship's cargo crates. Their armor bore the same jagged mark insignia as the group from the tunnels. Kef's voice was tight with panic. Mara, she moved before he could finish, grabbing the nearest crate and shoving it into the path of a plasma shot. The blast tore through the metal, spraying molten fragments. Mara rolled behind the ship's landing strut, pulling the empty Starfire nectar bottle from her jacket. She tossed it toward one of the mercenaries, not as a weapon, but as a distraction. When the alien flinched, she lunged, wrenching his weapon away and smashing the butt of it into his helmet. Keth dove for cover, shouting something in his native language that sounded like pure panic. Drosk, single quotes S mistake. The firefight was short but chaotic. Plasma bolts lit the docking bay, scorching the walls. One mercenary went down with a blast to the chest. Another fled. When Mara charged at him, Drosk tried to slip away in the confusion, but Mara caught him by the back of his collar. "You made a bad call, Drosk." His glowing eyes flickered with fear. "It was just business. So is this," Mara said, shoving him into a wall and knocking him out cold. The escaped Mara and Keth jumped into the ship. She slammed her hand on the control panel, powering up the engines. The hum grew into a roar as the docking clamps released. Mercenaries burst into the bay just as the ship lifted off. Plasma shots hit the hull, but the ship's shields held. Mara pulled hard on the controls, guiding them out into the endless black of space. Stars spread out in every direction. Keth dropped into the co-pilot seat, still breathing hard. That was insane. "And yet, here we are," Mara replied, eyes scanning the sensors. The bigger problem, but they weren't alone in space. The sensors lit up with multiple red blips, ships moving fast, all on intercept courses. Keth's antennae twitched. "They're already here." "How did they find us so fast?" Mara's jaw tightened. "Because this isn't just a bounty anymore. This is a hunt." She angled the ship toward the asteroid belt, just beyond the station's orbit. "Hold on, Keth. This is going to get rough." Into the belt, the ship dove into the dense cluster of massive rocks. Chunks of stone the size of buildings tumbled silently through the void. Light from the distant sun flashed off their surfaces. Enemy ships followed, weaving through the maze. Plasma fire streaked past the cockpit. Mara twisted the controls sharply, scraping so close to one asteroid that its jagged edge carved a glowing line across the ship's shield barrier. Keth gripped the armrest so hard, his knuckles turned pale. "Please tell me you know where we're going," Mara grinned. "I have no idea, but I know where they won't follow." The hiding place, she spotted a massive asteroid split down the middle, its crack wide enough for the ship to slip inside. They plunged into darkness, the narrow passage twisting and narrowing until finally opening into a hollow chamber lit by faint blue crystals growing from the rock. Mara cut the engines, letting the ship drift silently. Outside, the enemy ships passed by, unable to detect them through the thick asteroid walls. Keth let out a long breath. "We're safe, for now." Mara stared at the glowing crystals. "For now isn't good enough. We need to end this hunt before it ends us." The silence inside the asteroid was heavy. Outside, enemy ships searched endlessly, scanning the darkness, but they could not find Mara's hidden ship. Inside the hollow rock, the soft blue glow from the crystals painted Mara's face cold and pale. She sat in the pilot's seat, hands on the controls, but her mind far away. This wasn't just a chase anymore. It was a war. Planning the fight. Keth stood beside her, still catching his breath. "We can't keep running," he said quietly. "They will never stop hunting you," Mara nodded. "Then it's time to fight back." She looked out at the dark stars beyond the asteroid's thick walls. "This station, the people hunting. Me, the drink they gave me. It's all connected." Keth frowned. "Connected how?" "I don't know yet." Mara stood up and paced the small cabin. "But I know one thing, if I survive the drinks they gave me, that I have power they don't understand." She held up the bottle of starfire nectar. "And I will use that power." The message. Mara pulled out the cum device. She tapped a sequence that sent a secret code into the galaxy's dark network. The hidden channels where mercenaries, spies, and bounty hunters talked. "This is Captain Mara Vance. To all who hunt me, I'm not your prey, I'm your storm." She smiled grimly. Let them know the war has begun. The enemy respawns far across the galaxy, in a fortress floating near. A dying star. The mercenary leader called Zorak heard Mara's message. Zorak was tall and covered in dark scales, with eyes like burning coals. He hated humans. He saw them as weak, soft, and easily broken. But this human was different. She drank death and laughed. He slammed his claw on the table. "Find her. Bring me her head. Alive or dead." His officers bowed and left the room, preparing. The arsenal back in the asteroid, Mara and Keth worked fast. Mara opened her cargo hold. Inside were vials, small bottles filled with strange liquids she had stolen or bought on her travels. Some glowed red like hot coals. Others shimmered green like forest leaves. A few looked clear, but smelled like burning metal. "Each one of these is poison," Mara said. "Some are rare, some are deadly. And all of them can be weapons." Keth looked nervous. "You really want to fight?" Mara smiled. "Not just fight, I want to win." Training the body for the next hours, Mara tested herself. She drank tiny amounts from the vials, carefully increasing the doses. Each time, her body reacted. Sometimes she burned inside, sometimes she felt dizzy, but she kept going. Keth watched, amazed. "You're a freak," Mara laughed. "I'm a survivor." The first attack suddenly, alarms blared. "Incoming ships!" Keth shouted. Mara grabbed her weapons. The ship's small guns powered up and hummed with energy. Outside the windows, enemy fighters appeared, fast and deadly. "Here they come," Mara said. The fighters fired plasma bolts that exploded against the asteroid's surface. The whole rock shook. Mara fired back, hitting one ship and sending it spinning away. But more came. The poison trap. Mara's plan began. She maneuvered the ship out of the asteroid's hollow and into a narrow pass between two giant space rocks. She sprayed the area with the poisoned liquids, some in vapor form, some in small explosive mines that released deadly gas. The enemy ships flew through the poison cloud without knowing. One by one, the ships slowed, their engines sputtered, and pilots lost control. Mara smiled. "That's how you fight with poison." The counterattack, but Zorak was smart. He sent his own elite hunters, aliens immune to many poisons. They came fast, ruthless. The battle turned fierce. Mara's ship took heavy damage. "We need a plan B," Keth yelled over the noise. Mara nodded. "We'll use the asteroid to hide. But we'll strike back." The hidden ally. Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up something unexpected. A small fleet of unknown ships approached quietly. Mara frowned. "Who are they?" Keth checked the data. "Pirates? No, traitors, maybe?" The ships docked near Mara's hiding place. Out came strange figures, humans like Mara, wearing ragged clothes and carrying old weapons. "We are the Scarred," their leader said. "We owe you a debt." The Scarred's story the Scarred told. Mara how they had been hunted for years by the same mercenaries. They had heard of Mara's survival and decided to help her fight. "Together, we can stop them." Mara felt hope for the first time in days. Building the resistance, the Scarred helped Mara repair her ship and prepare new weapons. They shared stories of pain and survival, teaching Mara new ways to fight. Mara felt stronger, not just in body, but in spirit. "This is more than a fight for me," she said. "It's a fight for all humans and all who survive the impossible." The final strike. Mara's ship was ready. She and the Scarred fleet flew out of the asteroid, facing Zorak's ships once more. The battle was brutal and long. Poison gas, plasma fire, and desperate maneuvers filled the void. Mara led the charge, drinking small amounts of poison to keep her body ready. Her enemies called her mad, but she was a storm they couldn't stop. Victory and loss in the end. Zorak's fleet broke. Many ships exploded in flames or drifted disabled. Zorak himself barely escaped, swearing revenge. But Mara's ship was badly damaged. Keth helped her limp back to the asteroid, where the Scarred waited. We won, Mara said quietly. Keth smiled. For now. The war continues, Mara knew. This was only the beginning. Her survival had changed everything. She was no longer just a human. She was a weapon, a symbol, and the galaxy would never forget the name Mara Vance. The asteroid's hollow was quiet now, but the calm was only a moment's rest. Mara and her small crew worked quickly, repairing the battered ship and preparing for what was sure to come. The galaxy knew her name now. Mara Vance, the human who drank death and survived, was no longer just running. She was fighting back. The warning Keth was the first to notice the new threat. Mara, sensors are picking up a huge fleet on approach. Mara's green eyes narrowed. Who? Keth shook his head. Unknown. But the heat signatures are massive. This isn't a small hunt anymore. The threat outside, a massive ship appeared. It was like a small moon, with hundreds of smaller fighters swarming around it. Mara recognized the emblem, the Black Sun. Armada, a feared pirate group known for brutal tactics. Their leader was ruthless, and their goal was clear. Capture Mara. Alive or kill her. We can't fight that head-on, Mara said grimly. The plan. Mara gathered the Scarred and her crew. We need to disappear, she said. I'll use what they gave me, the drinks, to make a new kind of trap. Keth looked confused. What kind of trap? One that will make them think twice before chasing us again. The preparation. Mara mixed the poisons carefully. She combined the starfire nectar with other deadly liquids to create a new weapon, a vapor that could kill entire ship's crews without damaging the ships themselves. She tested it on a small drone. The drone shut down, lifeless within seconds. Perfect, Mara said. The escape begins. The Black Sun Armada closed in. Mara's ship slipped quietly into an asteroid field, a dangerous maze of rocks and dust. Enemy fighters swarmed behind, firing wildly. Plasma bolts shattered nearby rocks, sending debris flying. Mara's ship darted between the asteroids, engines roaring. They're fast, Keth said, gripping his seat. But we're faster. The trap is set. Mara released the poison, vapor in a thick cloud behind them. Enemy ships entered the cloud and began to fall silent, one by one. Fighters lost power or the pilots passed out. The Black Sun Armada had never seen such a weapon before. Surprise attack with the enemy weakened. Mara ordered the Scarred to strike. They attacked with plasma cannons and missiles, destroying the helpless fighters. The big flagship tried to escape, but Mara followed it deep into the asteroid field. The final confrontation. Mara's ship locked onto the flagship's engines. She fired a special missile coated with one of her deadliest poisons. The missile exploded near the engines, releasing a cloud of toxic gas. The flagship's engines failed. The chase ends with the flagship crippled. The remaining Black Sun ships retreated. Mara and her crew breathed relief, but they knew this was only a battle, not the end. We made them fear us, Mara said quietly. But the war is far from over. The truth revealed later. Mara studied the drinks more closely. She discovered the poisons came from a secret galactic project, an ancient weapon designed to control or destroy entire species. Someone wanted her to find it. The next step. Mara looked at Keth. We need to find out who made these drinks and why. Keth nodded. And maybe stop them before they make more. Mara smiled. Then let's get moving. The ship drifted through the dark void, carrying Mara and her small crew deeper into unknown space. Outside, stars blinked silently, but inside, tension crackled like electricity. Mara sat at the control panel. The mysterious vials of poison spread out before her like a puzzle waiting to be solved. These drinks, she murmured, tracing a finger over a vial glowing faint green. They're more than just weapons. Keth leaned over her shoulder, his antennae twitching. What do you mean? Mara looked up, her eyes sharp. They are part of something bigger. A secret project, one that changed the galaxy forever. The hidden data. Mara connected a small device to the ship's computer and uploaded the data. She had stolen from Varen's collection. Files, images, and coded messages flooded the screen. Her fingers flew over the keys, breaking encryption one layer at a time. These files, Mara said slowly. They are records of experiments, biological weapons designed to destroy entire species or control them. Kef's eyes widened. Why would anyone create something like that? Because power is the only truth in this universe, Mara replied. And weapons like these give power over life itself. The origin of the drinks, the data led Mara to a forgotten research station orbiting a dead star. The station was hidden in a shadow zone where few ships passed. Mara's fingers clenched into fists. This is where the drinks were made. And where the war began. Kef studied the map. Then that's where we go. The approach, the journey was long and dangerous. Enemy ships still hunted them, and Mara's ship was weak from previous battles. But they had no choice. They needed answers. Prepare for landing, Mara ordered. We go in quiet and fast. The station in ruins when they arrived. The station was a ghost. The once busy hub was silent and broken, with rust and debris floating in the airlocks. Mara and Kef donned their suits and stepped into the cold halls. The secrets inside the station's computers still worked, though faintly. Mara accessed logs that revealed horrific experiments, testing poisons on captured creatures, watching as entire species fell to the drinks. This is genocide, Kef said, voice shaking. They wanted to wipe out entire races. Mara clenched her jaw. Or control them. The unexpected threat suddenly, alarms blared, traps triggered, hostile drones activated, their metal claws clicking as they came to life. Mara and Kef fought desperately, using their weapons and quick thinking to disable the machines. The core room finally. They reached the heart of the station, a massive room filled with glowing tanks, containing strange liquids and creatures in suspended animation. Mara's eyes widened. They were creating new drinks here, more powerful than anything we've seen. Kef nodded. And these creatures are test subjects. The dark truth. Mara found a terminal with a message recorded by the lead scientist of the project. His voice was cold and proud. Our goal is survival. But survival means domination. These drinks are the key to control. Species that cannot be controlled will be destroyed. Mara felt a chill. This isn't just war. It's a plan to rule the galaxy. The choice. Mara looked at Kef. We can destroy this station and the drinks, or take the knowledge and use it to fight back. Kef's antennae twitched nervously. Can we control such power? Mara's eyes burned. We have to. The explosion. They set explosives to destroy the station's core. As they ran toward their ship, the station began to shake. The explosion rocked the hull, sending fire and smoke through the corridors. Mara and Kef barely escaped as the station collapsed behind them. New resolve back on the ship. Mara looked at the glowing vials she still carried. This war is bigger than me. It's about all of US. Kef nodded. And we have to be ready. Mara smiled grimly. We will be. The galaxy will learn to fear the human who drinks death.